Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the Rockstar Business Builders Podcast. This is Kyle Goldie, and this is episode number 6. And today, you know what we're going to do? We're going to bring in the first interviewed guest on the show. Her name is Marie Larsen, and this is going to be amazing if you are looking to build a podcast. She knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's doing. This is exactly why I brought her in here for you guys. I want you to be able to build your podcast the right way. So let's cut straight to it. Let's cut out all that fluff. I want to keep my promise to you guys. This is going to be awesome.
You've envisioned the idea. You've identified the opportunity nobody else could see. And you've decided you're going to turn your badass idea into your badass business. Let's crank that idea up to 11. This is the Rockstar Business Building Podcast. And here you'll get hashtag all the things related to running your business and your life as a creative entrepreneur. We're creative, passionate people, and together we'll cut the fluff and get straight to the good stuff with your host, photographer, coach, and educator, Kyle Goldie.
All right, guys. And you know what? When I started building my very own podcast, I knew pretty much exactly nothing. I took to Google, I took to Facebook groups, I did all the things that I tell you guys not to do. So instead, what I did is I hired a few coaches that knew exactly what they were doing in the podcast realm. And Marie is absolutely phenomenal at what she does. She knows what she's talking about. And that's why I wanted to bring her on here. But first, I wanted to give you a little bit of background info on just me and my podcast story. Because when I started with the podcast, I didn't even know where to host it. I had no idea what kind of equipment to use. I didn't have a big budget for a lot of really fancy things. So I just took to what I knew best, and that was me asking the mentors that I had, giving me the shortcut to success, and just doing what they told me to do. So I bought some equipment off of, I believe, Amazon. I bought some Blue Yeti microphones. I got some Ophonics, pop filters. I put it on a stand. I'm recording everything through Audacity. And I am now on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify, and they all just push to each other because of the RSS feed. There's so much that goes into it as you're building out your podcast, but everything is so simple as you start it out. Now it's just a matter of you taking action, consistent action. What I recommend that you guys do as you move forward is that 1 to 2 podcasts per week, making sure that your audience gets that regular, consistent podcast show episodes live so that they're not going a month hearing nothing from you. Remember, guys, the attention is currency in today's realm. So what I want you to do is really focus in on that consistency of building out your podcast episodes and bringing in a lot of value. I want you to always lead with value. I'll say that one more time because it bears repeating. I want you to always be leading with value. And with that, I'm going to be bringing in Marie Larsen. She's here. She's going to be having an awesome conversation with us today. So let's just get straight to it. Marie, I'm so glad to finally make this all come together. This is super fantastic. You and I have been chatting about getting to know you on the show, and I'm really, really, really excited that you're here. Thanks so much for taking the time and having a good little chat with me on the show. I just wanted to say thanks for being so authentic and not holding back with all the things that you share. I can only speak for myself and my own podcast because I'm just starting out myself. But what you've been speaking about online is so powerful, so refreshing, and it pumps me up. So where all I want to do is just take action on everything after watching your videos on Facebook.
Hey, thanks so much, Kyle. Seriously, it is so fun to be here. I have so many things I want to share with you guys, but again, I'm so grateful to be on your podcast. This is awesome.
Yeah, as a small business owner, I kept listening into podcasts while I was personally working, just editing photos and just taking care of stuff for clients. And just one day, it finally clicked for me that I just needed to make my own. Like I didn't even feel like something I wanted to do. It just felt like a need. So I just stopped like everything that I did that I was doing, and I just got to researching everything from the ground up, realized that I was honestly just hitting a wall and I needed some help from other people. So I just reached out to people that were just crushing their podcasts. I learned from them, but I've still got so much to learn because right now I'm only just a few episodes in, and there's still so much to learn about the podcasting world. And that's why I'm super, super grateful that you are here today. Because like, as you know, like the Rockstar Business Builders podcast is all for small business owners in creative industries. And I'm really pumped to introduce you and ask you a few super basic questions. So what do you say? I'm excited. Are you as excited as I am right now?
I am freaking pumped. This is going to be so good. Let's do this.
All right, dope. Because right now I'd love to learn more about you. I want to know more about your background, what made you choose to get into podcasting, and why you think it's an awesome tool for small businesses.
Cool. Yeah, so let me just share like my quick story really fast.
Yeah.
So I actually, when was it? It was about a year and a half ago. I returned home from serving an LDS mission across seas, and my whole life I want to be a dentist. I got back and my mom had a list for me of literally like, this is what you need to go, like what college you need to go to, and the classes you need to take, the grades you need to get, right? And I looked at that list and I was like, there is no flipping way I'm doing that, right? Like there's no way I am doing that. And so I was sitting down with my brother, Steve Larsen, and my dad, and I come from a very business-oriented family.
Yeah.
And you know, they were looking at me and they're like, Marie, we don't want to tell you how to live your life in any way, but we think you should look into business. We think that you would be awesome at it. I was like, business? Like sitting at the computer? Like, that's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But I gave it a go, and I couldn't stop putting stuff down. My brother Steve, actually, Steven, whatever people call him, yeah. And he came up to me. He's like, Marie, I have a favor. I need to ask you something. And I was like, okay, bro, what's up? He said, I need you to get really good at podcasting. And I was like, podcasting? I mean, that's even weirder than going into business. What does podcasting have to do? And so I started studying it, and I got good at doing like the basics of it. And I realized that there was a lot of strategy to it, more than I had anticipated, I guess. And how to just really make your podcast soar and be incredible. And so, that's kind of my story. I really just dove into it and studied out some strategies, and have been helping people ever since. So it's been about a year and a half journey and process to get to this point.
Yeah, super cool. Because like on that note, like it just seems so easy. Like I remember when I was just getting going with my own podcast, and everything just seemed like, okay, well I can just record something and I'll put it up somewhere. But I had no idea like where to put it, how to like syndicate it out, how to get it on iTunes, or like even like what size of photos I needed to have for like my little profile photo or a banner somewhere. So it just became like more and more and more complex. And as it grows, it's feeling more and more complex as it goes as well. And that's why I always really value having coaches that know what the hell that they're doing, so that they can just tell me what to do rather than me just like guess along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally believe in having coaches all along the way. So I sat down with Steven and we like hashed this out for so long, and really try to figure this out together. But having a coach, someone who knows something and who's even just one step ahead of you, so crucial and so important, even in just like the marketing industry in general or in life. But it's so important to have those mentors and to do the same thing as someone is teaching you. Do not be so selfish to not turn around and teach someone else while you're doing it at the same time.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, honestly, I think the biggest regret that I have to this day of me starting out as an entrepreneur, because I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 10 years now.
Wow.
And it's crazy to think back on how I got started, because I really wish that I would have pulled the trigger, took out a loan even, and just hired someone, because I probably could have taken years off of my business. But we're not here to talk about coach and stuff. I want to know more about podcasting world. So are there any like just really big do's or don'ts?
Absolutely.
I want to hear more about that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. So this is like a random little trick and tip that I have learned over the years of doing, or the last year and a half of me doing this. And don't ask me why, because I'm not 100% sure why, but the best days to publish are actually Tuesdays and Thursdays. which has been something that I studied out over the years. And, if you publish your podcast on a Monday morning at 3 a.m., like, you're not going to get that many downloads, right? Like, people are not going to like it or subscribe or rate it as much or as often. And so that is just like the most random little tip that I love sharing with people, because I get jaw-dropping results. People are like, Tuesdays, Thursdays. I'm like, yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, it does miracles. It's around people's lunchtime. I think it's probably they're trying to get through the hump of the week, like it's the mid-hump Tuesday, and then it's like the rest of the week for Thursday. And so Thursdays are like the absolute best days to publish your podcast. I always tell people as well to publish at least a week, which is, I know sounds a lot, especially with people who are just starting out with their podcast. So this is a little hint towards you, Kyle. But publishing at least twice a week is so important. You're trying to train your audience to sit down and listen to you, and you're trying to train them with consistency pretty much, so that they know that on a Tuesday at this time that Kyle's going to be posting, right? Or on Thursday at this time, like, you're going to be posting yet again. And you're training them with that consistency, so they look forward to, oh, his podcast is going to be up at this time. And they'll jump on and they'll download it as they go pick up their kids from school or whatever they're doing, right? And so those are like two really interesting and, I guess, weird tricks, but stuff that I've seen change people from like a mediocre podcaster to, someone who's starting to crush it.
Yeah, it's totally true. I mean, like, even just looking back on myself and what I used to do, like I said earlier, like, I just used to listen to podcasts myself when I was working. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the people that tune into my podcast so far, and hopefully, obviously, it's just going to be growing over time. A lot of people that listen to the podcast have part-time jobs or full-time jobs, and they're just getting going with their business. And a lot of times they listen to podcasts kind of during that lunchtime or just right after they get back into the office. They kind of put some headphones on and just cruise the rest of the day listening to podcasts.
Right.
So it makes total sense to me. So, like, if they're just getting going with their podcast and they're starting to put out the first few episodes, what do you recommend that they do to get the word out there and get new subscribers?
Yeah. Okay. So first off, you have to master the art of storytelling. And I know that sounds really weird, because to get your likes and subscribes and your rates and all that kind of stuff, you're like, oh, but what kind of trick? What social media trick, Maria? Which don't get me wrong, I can totally share those with you. But the art of storytelling, I have seen so many people who cannot tell a story to save their life, right? And that being said, like, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have on something. If you cannot have a story and a topic or principle that you're trying to teach in an episode and combine them together, there is no possible way that your podcast is going to thrive. People want to be educationally entertained, right? Like, they want to have...
I love that. Educationally entertained. That's so perfect.
It's like, it's not rocket science. You think of like a superhero movie. You go there to be educationally entertained, right? Educationally, you are learning about superheroes and, what they do, their life story, their, hero's journey, but entertained as well, because, they're taking on the bad guys and getting the girl at the same time, right? And so with podcasting, it's like the same thing. If you do not have like a radio voice or whatever, like, you got to practice it. If you can't tell a story really fluidly, you got to practice it. Like, that's all it is. You have to practice the art of storytelling with a principle in mind that you can correlate with that. And then after that, like, people they just jump in, and they're like, oh yeah, this, like, I can relate to that. And
exactly. Like, people just relate to it. They trust you more. I think they just kind of fall in love with you as well as your brand, and not just your brand itself.
Right. Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, that's so cool though. Cause so what I wanted to do now, cause I love keeping these podcasts short and just cutting all the fluff and just getting straight to the value. Where can people learn more from you? Cause you're such an awesome wealth of knowledge when it comes to podcasting. And I want to make sure that everyone knows where to go to learn more from you.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So the very best place to get in contact with me and find more information about how to just make your podcast incredible is to actually go to my Facebook group. It's starting to cruise a lot. It's called Profitable Podcasting Strategies for Entrepreneurs, which is kind of a mouthful, but that's it. And if they jump in and just say like, hey, like, I want to join this group or whatever, and there's like an opportunity to put your email in. I'll send you tons of free content to help you get through the process. But yeah, that's the best place to get in contact with me and to learn more of the strategies that I've built out over the years.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thanks so much, Marie. And thanks to everyone who is tuning into this episode with Marie Larsen. Make sure to tune into her Profitable Podcasting Strategies for Entrepreneurs Facebook group and follow her everywhere online because you will not be disappointed. And as always, guys, you're all so awesome, and I appreciate all of you. Until the next episode of the Rockstar Business Builders podcast, have an awesome, epic, fun-filled, and successful day.
This has been the Rockstar Business Building Podcast, our weekly get-together of creative, passionate entrepreneurs. For more guidance on how to build the ultimate rockstar business, visit kylegoldie.com. Sign up for his free newsletter and learn about his online coaching programs designed to crank your business up to 11.